The Ukrainian Defence Forces continue to surprise the Russians with their operations in the southern region. The Ukrainian army attaches great importance to offensive and defense operations in and around Kherson, because these operations are very important for the liberation of Crimea. The victories won in the Kherson direction bring Ukraine one step closer to Crimea. For this reason, the Ukrainian army is carrying out very special strategies for its operations here, according to Dmytro Pletenchuk, head of the Center for Strategic Communications of the Southern Defense Forces. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have retaken control of the island of Nestryha in the Kherson region. It is not about strategy, it is about divided battles. It's more tactical. Places that will not allow the enemy to approach our positions are important, Pletenchuk said. By retaining control of such areas, the Russians generally dominate the territory and are in an advantageous position for offensive operations. At the same time, Ukrainian attempts to infiltrate Russian positions are prevented. However, by repelling Russian troops from such places, the Ukrainian army increases its area of action and power in the region. Pletenchuk said that regaining control of this island is of primary importance for the quality of anti-sabotage measures. This is our coast. Such islands are mostly swampy. It takes a long time to find them on the map, but they are larger than the crowded bays opposite its location. At one time it was considered a gray zone, Pletenchuk emphasizes. The return of control of the island of Nestryha to Ukraine made the Ukrainian military happy. At the same time, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky, noted that Russian troops made no progress on any front and were defeated near Kherson. Developments on other fronts are also very important for the Ukrainian army. Russia is attacking along the entire front line. In Luhansk Oblast, Russian forces are trying to capitalize on their superiority in air power, missiles and artillery ammunition. Their main goal is to reach the administrative border of the region. The Ukrainian military reported that the Russians are concentrating their efforts in the direction of Kupiansk, particularly in the villages of Stelmakivka and Berestova. Ukrainian troops managed to stop the Russian advance. In the Liman direction, the Russians continued their offensive against the village of Terny, trying to push the Ukrainian Defense Forces beyond the Chorny Zeberets River, but without success. In the Siversk direction, Russia is attacking near Bilohorivka and Rozdolivka, aiming to cross and block Siversk in order to create conditions for further advances in Sloviansk. Here too, however, the advance of Russian troops was halted. The hotspots in the direction of Kramatorsk and Ivanivske and Chasiv Yar. The Russians are also trying to regain control of Klachivka and reach the line along the Siversky-Donetsk-Donbass Canal. In the south, in Zaporizhia and Kherson Oblasts, the situation also remains tense. The Russians are trying to advance in the areas of Staromayorsk, Robotine and Verbove, still hoping to push Ukrainian forces away from Krynky. However, the Russians have not succeeded in any of these directions. In addition, Ukrainian troops managed to advance in the Valensk area and establish control over Nestryha Island in the Kherson direction. The Russian military has long been uncomfortable with Ukraine's presence in and around Krynky, on the left bank of the Kherson region. The Russian army has been organizing offensive operations for a long time to push Ukraine away from this region, but has not succeeded. Ukrainian troops have been holding a bridgehead near the village of Krynky on the left bank of the Kherson region for several months. The Russian army has not been able to repel the Ukrainian troops, and moreover, the Ukrainian army has even managed to expand its area of action by advancing on the left bank. The Russians attacked Ukrainian positions in the Kirnok area 3 times with the support of past aviation. However, the Russians failed to achieve any results. In our previous report, we noted that Ukraine targeted more than 10 Russian oil refineries and other important facilities on Russian territory. This is part of Ukraine's successful strategy. As you can see, the Russian army is not achieving successful results on the front line either. The Ukrainian army is defeating the Russians in important areas. At the same time, Russian ammunition depots, strategic facilities and supply lines of the Russians on the front line are being hit by the Ukrainian army. Most importantly, communication centers on the front line are being hit by the Ukrainian army. This means that the communication network of the Russians on the front line is weakened. Taking advantage of the situation, the Ukrainian army can hit Russian targets more easily. We have shared with you the reports of the Russian air defense systems hit by the Ukrainian army in recent weeks. In fact, another reason for the successful operations of the Ukrainian army is the destruction of the air defense systems established by the Russians on the front line with the successful operations of Ukraine. The Ukrainian army destroyed a large number of Russian air defenses in the last week. This situation allows Ukraine to organize offensive operations with unmanned aerial vehicles and long-range missiles from the areas close to the border to the facilities in Russian territory. The Russian army is unable to prevent Ukraine's air operations and is losing many of its facilities. Explosions were heard the other day in the Bryansk region of the Russian Federation due to the operation of air defense forces and vehicles. According to the governor of the Bryansk region, Alexander Bagomaz, the cause of the explosion was an attack by drones. The Ukrainian army carried out an attack operation with drones in this region at night. In addition, Kushchevsk military airport and Ilsky and Slavyansk oil refineries were also targeted by the Ukrainian army the other day. There were violent explosions at these facilities. These attacks were organized by the Ukrainian Security Service. Ukrainian drones targeted these facilities and carried out a successful operation. The attack on the airfield was organized in cooperation with the Security Service of Ukraine and the armed forces. Dozens of military aircraft, radar systems, and enemy electronic warfare equipment were located at the airfield. The drones also attacked the correction and atmospheric columns of the Ilsky and Slavyansk oil refineries in the Kuban. These are the main technological facilities of the plants. According to the source, following the attacks on the airport and refineries, a fire broke out and the personnel were evacuated. The Ukrainian army continues to effectively target military and infrastructure objects in the depths of Russian territory. In addition, the Ilsky and Slavyansk oil refineries were previously attacked by the Ukrainian army. Since the beginning of the war, the Ukrainian army has neutralized 467,470 Russian military personnel. Such a high number of military losses, together with the facilities hit on the front line and on Russian territory, is a disaster for the Russian army. We have also said that another reason for Ukraine's success in air operations is the destruction of Russian air defense systems. In this context, 778 air defense systems belonging to the Russians have been destroyed by the Ukrainian army since the beginning of the war. It was very important for Ukraine that the Ukrainian army took control of the island of Nestryha, prevented Russian attacks on the front line, and organized offensive operations against important Russian facilities. Do you think the strategies implemented by Ukraine are correct? You can share your thoughts about our report by commenting.